I love playing bad guys because they're just so fun to sort of make them human, you know?
Tell me
Like,
about this. When you play a bad guy, do you always sense that you're not wrong as a bad guy? Like you think your world that you're portraying is like you're doing things the right way? Is that the key to play a bad guy, thinking they're not a bad guy?
oh yeah, 100%. I mean, they're not. Yeah. I mean, it's like getting into the psychological, realm.
My name is Detective Hawthorne. I've been dispatched to follow up on a report of potential witchcraft at a bar a few miles away from here. May I come in? Where is it?
Hello.
There you are. What's going on, Christian?
How are you, man?
I'm doing well. I love your setup. Got all these pictures. I thought it was for a second. I thought it was a baby crib behind you
Yeah.
on a weird angle.
It's a stairwell. I'm in my little abode in Toronto here while we're shooting, and that's a little lookbook.
I
That's how we
love it. What are
prepare.
those pictures of? That's so cool.
It's just like environments, pictures, planning. It's ways to get into the world that you're in. Us actors have some strange ways of doing things. This is one of them.
That's one of your interests, photography, I'm guessing, right?
Well, yeah, but also, it's references and the sort of ways to sort of remind you what world you're in. Yeah.
I like that.
Even though we're in a show about blindness, it's a visual aid for me. Yeah. Yeah.
Speaking to someone who's got an empty wall besides just one thing hanging, I think I'll take a pointer or two from your setup.
Absolutely.
How's everything? How's life going for you?
Yeah, it's good. It's good. It's busy, but it's good. Yeah, it's a busy week. There's we're shooting the third season of C, for Apple TV, and
Yes.
Witch Hunt's coming out, and then the Dexter revival is happening. So I'm helping them with some press and things. So it's busy.
There we go. Dexter
Yeah.
revival. I mean, that's there. There's people that have been basically pining for that to happen, right?
I know.
Fan base to that.
Yeah, absolutely. And it'll be an exciting season, I think, for them. Yeah, absolutely.
Are you excited about it too? And it's been a while, and it kind of a revival. I'm guessing for a new audience too, probably.
Yeah. Getting a lot of people sort of on social media checking in and just going, I just saw it for the first time. And I was like, wow, that was like 10 years ago. I was like, wow, it's amazing how that show's held up. People are just like bananas about it. It's great.
You see, there you know. Now you see the impact, when it's reminded again.
Yeah. And how long a show can last, even after it's done. It's amazing.
The lasting appeal,
Yeah,
that's when you've been part of something cool, that 10 years go by and people are just excited as it's starting for the first time.
Exactly.
It's interesting. I see in this movie. So now you're dealing with witches. Previously, you dealt with vampires, young vampires, young witches. Now there's sort of a interesting full circle moment there, right?
I know. And my character on Apple show C is a witch hunter. So it's like, yeah.
Yeah.
I guess it's the thing.
It's just is it by accident kind of coming across, or you have an interest in the genre?
I don't know. I think maybe in our culture right now, witches are cool. And also for me, like, I don't know. I love it. I think it's like witches are a great metaphor for what's happening in the world today. So, and Elle really brought that out in her movie. So yeah, it's like, like we went from vampires for a long time, like Twilight and all that stuff, and then into now witches. And it's great. It's like, we all saw vampires like the male figure, and now witch is the female figure. And it's just like, it's amazing how that has, evolved.
I just spoke to Gideon like half an hour ago, and she's in 2 witch movies, this one and Craft Legacy, and she was talking about how she's into, like, I learned a lot from just the conversation, how it's almost a lifestyle. Witchcraft is like, it's not a thing. Like you think on the surface, kind of like if you're on the outside to it, like, oh, black magic, it's kind of scary and creepy, but she's it's just like a way almost like vegans live or like, it's just a certain lifestyle. I had no idea about that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and then the what's the Satan church called? No, this is Satanic Temple. Have you heard of that? It's amazing.
Vaguely,
There's a
yes.
documentary on Netflix on the Satanic Temple. I think it's called, Hail Satan, question marks. And it's
Oh, I
amazing.
come across that. Yeah, I was
Definitely check it out.
browsing.
Definitely check it out, because it really, like, everyone hears Satan, it's like, oh, evil, dark, blah, 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 blah. But actually, when you really go into it, just like witches, it's like there's some complexity. It's like it's really attacking the pluralistic society, and understanding how our society that is so governed by this sort of conservative, sort of whatever you want to define it, that there's an alternative, and it's really more of a political statement and a freedom, about freedom, and about freedom of choice, freedom of religion. And it's really deep. It's really intense.
Yeah, I've been stuck on another Netflix documentary about a cult, Wild Wild Country, which
Oh
kind
my
of
God,
blown
that's such a good documentary.
Oh my God. It just like, yeah, I'm set on these kinds of things. And it gives you a different perspective on life, how things are outside of a bubble, in a sense, how other people live and do things, it's fascinating to watch.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's really interesting. And when you get beyond just the label and you do, like, dive into it, understanding the metaphor and where it comes from, it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool.
It seems like I'm getting a grasp. You like kind of challenging the norm, in a sense, even with roles and projects, looking outside the box. Is that what you're drawn to, sort of characters? And because your work's been all over the place. You've done a lot of different things. It's not like, certain genre. You say you've really went wide net with your career, in a sense. Is that what you're kind of drawn to?
Yeah, I'm just drawn to story. Like, bring me a good story, and I'm there. And it could be all sorts of different things. Sci-fi. It could be, I don't know, apocalyptic, whatever, drama. I haven't done many comedies. That's the only thing. I think maybe I should do more comedies.
You've done kind of love stories, so
love stories, yeah, all that. But and then I love playing bad guys, because they're just so fun to sort of make them human.
Tell me about this. When you play a bad guy, do you always sense that you're not wrong as a bad guy? Like, you think your world that you're portraying is like you're doing things the right way? Is that the key to play a bad guy, thinking they're not a bad guy?
Oh yeah, 100%. I mean, they're not. Yeah. I mean, it's like getting into the psychological, realm, and understanding why they believe what they believe, and it's like, we all think someone else is the bad guy, and then they're thinking we're the bad guy. And it's like, well, what is it? Who's right?
Yeah. And there's always some sort of moral thing or a belief that they think they're doing something for a rightful cause, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, you look at classic characters, Joker and all that, comics, there's always some small redeeming quality that makes you think, I guess so,
Totally. My whole job is to make you start rooting for the bad guy. And I love it. That's like that. It's easy if I'm the good guy, like, vote for me. No, I want you to vote for the bad guy. Like, bring you on the dark side and see what happens.
The complexities, there's more meat to that always in a part.
Absolutely.
Going back to this phone, it's like, what I actually enjoyed about the fact is that you hear about like witch movies and all sorts of like the ones that have been done before are set like in the 1800s or like early 1900s. This is modern. I felt like, these people could be among us in like everyday world going through like life. Is that kind of thing that stood out to you in the script too? It's like, this is our real society now, not trying to go something that's like 100 years ago plus.
Yeah, I think that was super smart of Elle to do. Like bring it home, and not in the future, not in the past, like right now. And like certain shows like True Blood used fantasy in a real way, and there are shows out there that are more contemporaries, and I think in movies and stuff like that. And I think this movie did that, in a kind of like, I don't know, creepy way.
Right. Yes. Because it's more, everything's more creepier when you can envision it that actually could happen. Right.
Yeah. Absolutely.
You can't relate to something in 1900s, but like something that's happening every day. That's why I guess people love crime documentary series and stuff like that. Dateline and all that. That's a draw.
100%. Yeah, absolutely. 100%.
Yeah. Another thing, you've worked with so many fantastic actors. Were two favorites of mine. I wanted to get your take, and I feel these are vastly. Josh Hartnett, you worked on, I think, a couple projects with, and Penny Dreadful, and Eva Green also. These are I feel like two of the most kind of underrated. And Josh started out as like a heartthrob teen idol.
Yeah, totally.
He's had a whole second renaissance over the last few years of like really showcasing his talents, and especially Penny Penny Dreadful.
Dreadful,
And Eva
yeah.
Green, I just don't understand how this is not like one of our iconic actors of this generation. Tell me about what it's like working with them, because I always felt they never got that acclaim that they deserve for the work that they put out.
Yeah, I have to say, I mean, Eva Green, I think you're spot on. I mean, I love her and her work, and she throws herself into these characters and the work, and Josh too. I work more with Eva than Josh. I mean, I was around Josh a lot, but Ava's work ethic and like the way that she committed to it, and she embodies her roles. It's like, it's really incredible. And it's a really good question to ask. I have no idea how certain things get further along than other certain things.
I just don't understand. You know?
I have no idea, but she's doing pretty well. She's doing pretty well.
Definitely. Maybe sometimes it's better to be out of the limelight too, you know, like.
Yeah, but I also think she picks roles that are like, you know, really interesting and maybe a little out there and a little experimental sometimes. I mean, Penny Dreadful was not like your typical like drama show. Like it was like super dense, super complex, you know, very well written, but like really intense, and it required you to like really go there for her, you know, and she chose that. A lot of actors would be scared of that stuff, you know, but she just goes for it. So I love working with actors like that just, you know, just rip into it, you know.
It helps you bounce off their energy, right? I mean, it kind of gives you the freedom to do it yourself too, I imagine.
Totally. It's so fun. It's like, you know, you when you play sports, you know, you always want to play with someone who's better than you because it brings you up, you know, lifts you up. And then the same thing. You want to work with actors that are like on a high level. It just makes you better.
No question. You mentioned C. We're getting season 3, which is great. I mean, I love that show. Any sort of things you like to share about it, your experience even on it or whatnot?
Oh man, it's just been wild. It's been such a incredible journey, and the way that the Churn and Apple have decided to sort of invest in this world building show. Like you don't get many opportunities for that, and it's like, it's funny because it's very similar, sort of using fantasy and the magical what if as metaphor to where we are as a country today. And I think Elle does that in her movie. And it's like, when you find projects like that, it's super interesting and super wonderful. But it's sort of like on the other extreme. It's such a huge project, you know, production value is just incredibly rich and high. And then Elle is able to sort of take the same, you know, story elements and like metaphors and fantasy and put it on a kind of small package, you know?
Right.
So
that's well put there.
Yeah, it was really wonderful to like go from C into that, you know, like I just finished, I think season 1 when we went and did Elle's movie. And so to go from both, you know, 1 to this, it was like, woo. And yet so, you know, so fun and rich to play with Elizabeth and all those actors. But it's been a trip. It's been super fun to sort of create a world from scratch that no one else has seen, you know, and create characters that no one else has seen or expected. And, you know, to play an antagonist who then has a conscience and then changes and then has a journey like that. You know, with TV, you get so much more scope and breadth to sort of have change and evolution, whereas a movie is a little bit more, you know, compact, and you have to sort of just play that part and get it through for the narrative, you know?
Yeah, you don't need to squeeze anything in. You have the freedom of time in a sense to tell the story, you know, more expanded way.
Yeah, exactly. You know,
I've kind of gauged your creative side in the beginning, but I'm curious. I like asking, I guess, this question, like, what are some of your hobbies outside of the work that you do on screen? Like any things to kind of get away to clear your mind, any activities or things you just really enjoy?
Yeah, I have like too many.
That's a good thing.
I have too many hobbies. I used to have a restoration car shop in Brooklyn, New York, where I used to fix old cars and sell them.
Awesome.
It became a photo studio, and then we developed some car-related reality shows, and then I do writing, and then I was directing, and then I still am doing some directing, and then I also sculpt and do ceramics, and as a way to meditate and get out of my head. So I think those are like playing, you know. Then I'm also working on a permaculture farm project in Joshua Tree, California, which is like, you know, all about regenerative farming. So I have like a whole bunch of weird stuff in my, you know, bag of ones, I call it.
Yeah, it's creative, but in totally different ways.
Yeah, totally different ways.
Which is I'm curious, how'd you get involved in the farming project? That's really interesting.
Well, the farming project was really about me sort of looking at what's happening with the climate, with
Mhm.
policy that's happening in California, as far as like what happening to their farmers, and understanding that there's a practice of growing things that no one's doing, and it's really sort of obvious that why are we not working with nature as opposed to trying to tame nature? And so I decided to sort of try to see if I can start a farm that is an example for others to follow. And it's really about water capture, using things, growing the right products, and being able to show people that you don't have to be like a kind of off-grid kind of, hippie, quote unquote,
Yeah.
to be responsible. You can actually have a wonderful environment and do it sustainably and naturally. And actually it works better. Like you grow more, you are able to use the earth better, and with less toxins, with less
Well, yeah,
waste.
healthy stuff. You know what you're
Healthy
eating,
stuff.
right?
Yeah,
And
exactly.
growing.
And it's just this, it's basically switching your brain to going, how do we copy, how do we imitate and mimic nature as opposed to, beating it down? And that's literally that simple. And the permaculture, started in the 80s in Australia, and it actually works everywhere. It
Wow.
works everywhere. And people are starting to tune into it and come on board with it. So I was like, oh yeah, this is a great use of like my off time, and allowing the land to just sort of heal and grow. And yeah, it's like, it feels good.
Well, that's really cool. I hope you
Yeah.
continue with that and spread the
Yeah.
word on that. I think
Yeah,
that's
absolutely.
really something that, everyone could possibly do on their own too. That's capable of it.
Yeah.
You don't have
Yeah.
to be special and have special resources to do that. That's
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah,
Well,
absolutely.
well, I,
Yeah.
I had a blast talking to you. I appreciate you coming on. And like I said, I've been a
Oh,
fan a long time of your work. So this is
oh,
very
thanks,
cool
man. I
uh,
appreciate it.
to get
Yeah.
that side. And I'm, hey, keep on coming with those projects because you're always
Thanks, man.
onto something interesting.
Yeah, there's never a dull moment.
That's right. That's how to live, right?
All right. Thanks, buddy.
Hey, thanks, Christian. Talk soon
Bye-bye.
on the next one.
Okay, bye. Bye.
Bye-bye.